Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening from wherever you are, and welcome to this special Nerd Nation live event. Well, it's not really an event, it's a live show. As always, I've got with me my hosts. I am, of course, the Blob's cousin Bob. I have Iron Zam, and I also have cousin Cheeto, who didn't bother to change his name for the Marvel event that we're doing. Anyway, we are discussing our Phase 5, not 4, Phase 5 dream lineups and films and series we really want to see moving forward. We are, of course, going to be talking a little bit about Phase 4 as well because, everything's up in the air. There's going to be a lot of changes. I'm speculating here that there might be a few cancellations as well. My speculations, nothing's official, obviously. Without further ado, let's just get into it. Cousin Cheeto, if you want to start us off.
Well, as you know, I'm wearing my Batman shirt because I don't discriminate. I stimulate. So I'm gonna get that on a shirt.
Yeah.
I mean, so I did this I think a little bit differently than you guys. So my criterion for mine is I just started my Marvel Phase 5 with and I will just go through this as we go along. But I started in 2022. So my first movie in Phase 5 now is going to, and this may not even be possible based on directors and stuff, but we're going to kick it off with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I know that there's a conflict with the Suicide Squad, but I don't care because it's my fantasy list, and James Gunn is at my mercy.
Yep, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I've got that on my list as well as I've got no particular order. I'm just saying Phase 5 as a whole. But for me, what I'd like to see in Guardians 3 is I want to see it focus on the group and some of their resolutions, especially Drax. Now that Thanos is dead, he has closure for his family. So what's his purpose moving forward? We need some development with that kind of character. We know what it's going to be about. It's just going to be about them winning back Zamora, for Quill's love. So it's going to be Quill centric, and it's not really where they should go with it. Could be a way to introduce Galactus as well, but and Silver Surfer through Guardians of the Galaxy 3. It would be great to see that. Before I move on to anything else, Zam, your thoughts?
Well, first of all, when I think of Phase 5, I'm also thinking Avengers 5. I don't want any Avengers in Phase 4. I want the first film of Phase 5 to be Avengers 5, and I can't even imagine what it would be, or anything. I just who's going to be like the lead characters? Probably Thor to a degree. He's like the only one of the top 4 left. Maybe him and Hulk, but it's going to be interesting. That for me is going. I find it fascinating how they're going to culminate what they have now with these new characters like Black Panther and Captain Marvel, how they're going to, culminate them into a new Avengers, because some of them are OP as fuck. Captain Marvel can take care of everyone without fucking the rest of the Avengers. So it'll be interesting to see how they do all of that. So that's what I'm most curious about when it culminates to that.
Okay. Cheeto?
Just to kind of follow up on your see, I'm losing my train of thought. Your Guardians 3. Do you want it to be more of a like Rocket and Drax kind of like centric movie, or do you want it to more be like, honestly, I don't care about Gamora.
Drax and Mantis.
Huh?
Drax and Mantis more. Maybe more Drax and Mantis.
No.
Drax.
Well, I mean, whatever you guys want. For me personally, again, whatever your preferences are. I don't want it to focus just on Quill.
Yeah. No, I think we're kind of.
Yeah.
He's not the star.
Yeah, I agree.
He's not the star. The Guardians each have their own. Like, for God's sake, Guardians 2, I hated with a passion, but the best performances in that were from Zamora and her sister. I forgot her name. Jesus.
Nebula.
Nebula. Okay, they were the best performances in that. So obviously we want to see what happens there. What's Nebula's relationship going to be like with this Gamora, because it's 2014 Gamora. It's not new Gamora. Obviously she's dead. So obviously there's that aspect of it. But I have a funny feeling they're going to do what they did in Guardians 2 and just make it all about Quill, and everyone else will just have their funny little moments, and it's just going to be a disaster. So it just, as long as everyone gets their time to shine, even Quill gets his moments, you know, then they'll do a good job of it. But the fear is in my head is it's just going to be Quill and Gamora.
Hello, Vocta.
So yeah.
I mean, because I mean, I know they've always talked about doing a spin-off Groot and Rocket storyline, you know, in a different movie. I don't know if I want that. I think just Quill needs to go to the back seat, and then it just needs to be a Rocket and Drax centered, because CM Punk was actually a part of a Drax comic book that I read a couple years back that actually was pretty good.
Yeah.
And I mean, I would honestly recommend it to anybody who likes the Drax from the MCU, because it actually kind of dives into Drax's persona outside of the goofiness.
Sorry.
You know, like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like, again, they're going to make it too comedic, which that's Guardians now. There's no going back on that. You can't, you know, but you need to make Drax have a human moment, you know, not just
Emotional.
be a fucking comedian, because that's all he's been reduced to. A fucking comedian. Even in Infinity War, he was a goddamn joke.
And I mean, Thanos is dead, and that's the person, like, besides Ronan, that's the person he wanted to kill. And they just kind of at the end of Endgame, they kind of brushed that under the rug. I feel like there should have been a moment, at least a small moment in that in that after
in that post scene where he
gets that post scene where Drax was just like struggling with the fact that he did not kill Thanos.
Yeah.
But it very much looks like it's going to be a chase movie after Gamora, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, they have to continue to a degree. They're going to have to continue it, but they can nip that in the bud in 15 minutes. They really can, you know. And then they can go into the Draxin, which I'm actually all for, because it'll be a very original concept, you know, to make somebody else the focus and have maybe Quill as a supporting character for sure.
Yeah, I think Quill. I mean, after Infinity War and Guardians 2, Quill just needs to be like their Uber driver in the ship.
Yeah, he became a real fucking annoyance more than anything.
Yeah, I really did.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. Yeah.
I want to actually.
Sorry, go on.
Do you think they're going to go with Galactus? Because you mentioned Galactus earlier. Do you think that's going to be the big bad?
That they might introduce Silver Surfer in Guardians 3. Not so much Galactus, but you never know.
I certainly hope so.
I hope
you think Silver Surfer will be the person to introduce Galactus the same way, you know, is it Ronin was who introduced us to Thanos in Guardians of the Galaxy 1?
Probably.
I have a different. I mean, I think you guys already know my thoughts on Galactus, like where I want him to show up at. And I mean, you know, I'm not going to go over it right now, but you know, I feel like, you know, I feel like Guardian, like having them show up in Guardians, maybe showing a hint of him in Guardians 3.
Yeah, not as a main bad.
Yeah, okay.
At the end, kind of towards the end of the film.
But yeah, we have to be introduced. We got introduced to Thanos before before Infinity War, and so I think the same needs to happen. If we know that the Galactus is coming, then we need to know about that initially. Yeah, end credit sequences or a small sequence in other films.
Like towards the end, like whatever planet they're on, it gets consumed. You see Silver Surfer come, and then a few minutes later, or Silver Surfer flies by, and they're like, "Oh, what the hell?" And then towards the end, like that planet is consumed. You know, that kind of way to like really introduce the threat, not just the, oh look, what's that in the background kind of shit. Like, you know, have the impact, but just have it as that, and then that's it, kind of thing. You move on.
I said in one of our videos a long time ago that I want Phase 5, at the end of Phase 5, to be like the Infinity War ending, and the whole of Phase 6. I know we're going a bit further than now, to be like the end game, leading to the second shot at Galactus. That would be ideally perfect.
The thing with so going back on that, what Feige said is they're not going to do another big event like Infinity War, but that being said, that could change.
Things change. Yeah.
Anything subject to change. And to be fair,
for
having
sure,
Galactus as the big bad in Phase 6 is not a bad idea. The reason being, Phase 5 is still going to be introducing, Fantastic Four and the X-Men.
The X-Men.
So to have Galactus in that, it probably will be too soon, unless they just do like most villains and it's just another throwaway for the Fantastic Four to kind of deal with, which I bloody well hope not. So
you mentioned in the X-Men, as well. Obviously, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, sorry, go on.
Okay, I was just saying that once again, like every other character, they need to be like little cameos and snippets of them in the previous films before they have their own movies. Would you agree with that? Like maybe we see like a Wolverine in a Doctor Strange 2 or something like that before we then see the over.
Yeah, we're not getting Wolverine any day soon.
No, but you know what I'm getting at.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
And yes, don't think they should be thrust in straight away. I mean, some areas have like hinted to it. Like if you watch The Runaways, they already established Molly as a mutant. Like literally, they couldn't wait to say as soon as that Fox still was not even went through. As soon as that Fox still was like spoken about, they already admitted to Molly being a mutant in The Runaways. So we are already there where we are establishing that there is a thing as the mutants. I don't know if S.H.I.E.L.D. did the same or any other series did the same.
We've got Scarlet Witch as well, by the way. Don't forget her.
Yeah, we've got obviously Scarlet Witch coming. Now here's
she's a mutant, that is.
They haven't called her a mutant, though.
She's not a mutant. No, but are you talking about in the MCU or in the X-Men?
In the MCU, she's not a mutant. She got
but
the Tesseract.
Oh yeah, she got created by the Mind Stone, didn't she?
Yeah.
My bad.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So are we done with Guardians 3? Cheeto, is there anything else you want to talk about there?
No.
You're nodding your head.
Yeah.
You were nodding your head earlier. Anything you want to add?
Nope, just agreeing with you.
Yeah. Okay, so obviously, seeing as we've touched on the mutants, so obviously I'm just like huge, obviously, fan for X-Men. I love X-Men. I don't love everything X-Men. Lately it's been garbage, but it was one of the first kind of Western comics I got into. I know that's a weird thing to say, but my first kind of comic book loves were mainly the French and Belgian stuff, believe it or not. So X-Men was kind of my first foray into Western comics, and I fucking love them. And we know they're coming now, for sure. The question is how to introduce the X-Men. And I'm with Zam on this one. Just, small snippets here and there. There is rumors that Rogue might appear in Captain Marvel 2 to sap her powers, but I don't really like the idea of that at all. I really don't. I think, like, when we're dealing with the X-Men, we have now, it's 10 years in the MCU, right, since the events of Infinity War.
No.
Isn't it?
No, it's
5.
Is it 5 years? Okay, sorry.
It's
right.
2023.
5 years since the events of Infinity War. By the time we get to the X-Men, it will be another 5 years. Well, 4 years, whatever, from leading up from where we left off at the end of that. So that's given now plenty of time for all these kids to grow up and start mutating. They'll be reaching that kind of age of puberty where it usually kind of kicks in.
So you're talking about there's some kind of reaction?
Either some kind of reaction, or they were created by Stark or even Hulk when he snapped as a
Oh, I
kind
thought you
of
were like
Mhm.
created. I'm like, what? Okay,
Huh?
I get what you mean. I thought you
Yeah.
meant like they were created like in a lab. I'm like,
No, not in that sense, but like because like obviously, look, to introduce them now, 60 years after the Atom Age is a bit daft. So to do it via the Infinity Stones, it makes sense. It's how we got Wanda. It's how we got changing their origins doesn't bother me if it makes sense to the essential plot. So having them being created through the Infinity Stones, it's fine. It's some kind of thing that maybe like Iron Man thought of on the fly, like a natural defense for the Earth that creates the mutants. And so by the time we get to them, they'll be starting to come of age. So here, this is where you want to see like a young Cyclops and Jean, and I, in terms of lineups, we could discuss that later. But what would you guys think in how to introduce the X-Men? Cheetah.
Uh,
Let's go,
okay,
Cheetah. Sorry, Dan.
no problem.
oh, you want me to go first?
Yeah, go for it.
I agree with it kind of being a side effect of the snaps. I don't agree with it being purposeful. Yeah, right. I don't agree with it being purposeful though. Like I
Okay.
can't see Tony Stark or I mean, if you think about it, Tony Stark would not want because I don't think he would want to put that kind of power in anyone's hands, and he doesn't know all the people that would be getting the powers. I mean, remember he specifically gave the glasses to Peter Parker because he trusted him.
Yeah.
So, and the other thing with the Hulk is that the Hulk's Bruce Banner is always cautious about the power in the wrong hands.
Yeah.
Especially with especially after Ultron and all that. So, and because Banner basically was with Tony Stark saying, we're mad scientists, but at least we trust ourselves, to try to do right.
Yeah.
But I think that they wouldn't do that. I think it should just be a side effect. I agree with you, and your timeline works out.
Yeah.
Maybe saying like that, kids under the age of 5, once they hit puberty, whatever cosmic ray, like whatever cosmic thing happened with the snap, and it's not even all of them. They have to have specific genetic markers.
Yeah.
They have to be type O blood type, something, something like that. Just something that doesn't make it very common.
Okay.
But or type.
Yeah, that's a good way of doing it. Yeah.
And then at puberty, the response is that's when they start to develop these powers, and it's a side effect of the snap in this small group of people. Because even though you say it's only AB negative, there's those type of people all over the world. So you can kind of explain that away, saying, well, it was a cosmic event, so it hit everybody, but it didn't hit everybody the same way because you've got all these different blood types out there. But it also could be hereditary because obviously a lot of blood types are hereditary. So you can kind of, it's a posh posh, but that's how I personally would do it.
I mean, if you go down the blood route, it's not a bad idea, or a genetic route, because then you can also establish older mutants as well, like Professor X, like Magneto, and things like that. Because the tricky part is not about bringing in the young X-Men. That part's easy. We can establish that.
It's the old
How
one.
do you establish the older ones? Unless it's like Professor X, that's like the teenager in this universe. And then as the years develop, but obviously as the years develop down the line, we get the X-Men.
Wolverine and Sabretooth are going to be hard to explain.
What's that?
Wolverine and Sabretooth are going to be hard to explain. They're both over 100 years old.
Yeah, I mean, this is why
maybe they're the first mutants.
But I mean, they're not going to be over 100 years old, or they're not mutants. They're just mutates. Like just like Spider-Man. Spider-Man's not a mutant. He's a mutate. He's someone who acquired his powers from external forces, like or you know what I mean, like external circumstances.
Yeah, but again, on that, this is why personally I think Doctor Strange 2 is the most important film of Phase 4, because that's where
I was going to say that
the mutants in that, because you can establish the older mutants through that. And some kind of event that happens that causes them to come into, the 616 universe, or whatever universe the MCU is, 1999, or whatever the fuck it is.
It's not 616. That's the comic books. It's not 616.
616 is the comic books. Yeah. But yeah, it's going to be interesting how they do it. Sad to say, I actually trust them in how they're going to do it, because we haven't really, like, unlike Fox is handling of anything, we haven't looked at the MCU and just been like, oh god, yeah. We've been like, oh god, at the storylines that they've done and why they've taken certain things. But in terms of introducing characters, it's always been like, yeah, that makes sense. Like how they introduced Quicksilver and Wanda. I was like, yeah, that's fine. Nobody was particularly bothered. But the question is, what is the lineup going to be for the first X-Men film? Or I would go with the original 5 and then have Angel killed off later to come back as Archangel, just as like to establish the reason why the X-Men get created in the first place, because they're attacked and obviously they need a defense team and all, for mutants and all this kind of shit. But the likeness scenario is, what Disney are like. They're gonna go for the Benetton rainbow kind of approach, which there's Angel, boring fucking dull ass. But see, I'm speculating it's going to be Jean. It's going to be Jean, Scott, Storm, Warpath, and maybe Sunfire, because that ticks the Japanese box, that ticks African box, and that ticks Native American box, and the two most established duo that you can't have X-Men without, which is Scott and Jean. Which I'm not against that at all, but I'd rather have the original 5 with them with one of them dying, to kind of spur on this kind of global search for mutants to defend and create like international team of mutants as well, not just have it American centric. Well, anyway, those are my kind of wishes with the X-Men. I don't know what you guys want for the X-Men, if anything.
Well, regarding the X-Men person, I want to say regarding how the mutants are going to get introduced, is I was always thinking Doctor Strange too. I also possibly think even Loki might have a part to play in that, with his time traveling shenanigans, to maybe get the older mutants involved. But I would like to see Doctor Strange 2 bring them in. I would like to see then other films incorporate what Doctor Strange 2 has started, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. Here, there, and everywhere, not necessarily in the main plot, but definitely in the background. And then I would like to see a mutants film of some particular type. I can't imagine how it's all going to work and how it's all going to be panning out, because to do something which really belongs in television, in movies, and make it like a series in that sense, it's going to be really difficult to cram it all in just a few episodes, a few films, if you know what I mean. But yeah, I'm with you, Ginge, on that. I do trust them. Regarding the lineup, I think it's going to be your usual suspects, Cyclops for sure, but I think we're going to get a much more front and center Cyclops. I think he's going to be possibly the key character, the key male character of this new X-Men. Jean, definitely for sure. After that, I think maybe Gambit. I think Gambit's got a good chance of being in there.
Gambit's a popular one.
Yeah,
Gambit's popular, but I don't think he'll be in there straight away, unless it's a cameo.
I think Beast would be in there for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
After that, it can be it's I mean, like Jubilee. I think Jubilee, definitely Jubilee. Something more like catered to kids. I think Jubilee would be a very popular one, with the firework power and shit like that. I think Disney, that's right up Disney's alley, so I can see them going down that particular route.
Plus, she's Asian, so that helps, because that's the kind of market they're trying to really tap into.
They're going to have a Professor X. I mean, it makes no sense not to have Professor X.
Yeah.
I can't imagine who in today's age would play. Maybe would McAvoy go back to playing him again? Would they get McAvoy?
Mark Strong's a great actor for that.
Mark Strong is absolutely perfect.
He's got the calm demeanor and everything to play Professor X. So
here's my thing. I wouldn't introduce the X-Men in Phase 5 at all. I would actually introduce them in. I would actually introduce them in not Phase 5's Avengers movie, but maybe like the following Avengers movie. And I've always said about doing like Avengers versus X-Men or Avengers and X-Men Secret Wars. But then what happens is the Fox, like you get some of the people coming over from the Fox, like the good ones. I'm not talking about the bad ones. Malkovich, Fassbender, Michael Holt, Nicholas Holt.
Nicholas Holt.
And you get the good actors and the good characters that were from those Fox X-Men movies. And in the end, like the Fox universe is destroyed. And then some of these X-Men characters get carried over into
So you think their intro should be in Secret Wars?
I think so, only because it pits two different universes against or with one another, and it'll make it easier to explain. I feel like you could. The only way I would do it in the Doctor Strange movie is if there were mutants being introduced and they didn't have a way. Like, let's say, like all these mutants were starting to be introduced in Doctor Strange 2.
Yeah.
Maybe Doctor Strange, and follow me on this one. Doctor Strange goes over to, another universe or even the Fox universe and uses his magic or time travel shenanigans and duplicates Professor X and Magneto, and Doctor Strange brings them over to the Prime universe, crossing the multiverse, but they still would have their Professor X, but there would be two of them, but one would be in the Fox universe and we'd leave that one forever. And then you would have Fassbender and Malkovich. I really want them to be Professor X and Magneto. They're amazing.
Yeah.
And I could see Doctor Strange doing that only because he would bring Magneto too, because there needs to be a balance. He can't just bring like Professor X over and be like, everything's hunky dory. Like if you bring Magneto over too, Magneto and Professor X, although they're good guy and bad guy, there's always been an understanding between their balance.
Yeah.
So I think those are the two ways I would do it. I mean, people may hate it, but that's just how I would do it.
Well, I think Deadpool would be in it.
God, Deadpool could be in it without anything. Like he could just show up.
Could literally just show up. Like, hey, what's up? And nobody will bat an eyelid, and that'd be fantastic.
I mean, that's just how that he could get away with it. He's like the only one who could get away with it.
Yeah. I mean, I like the Secret Wars route of doing it, because if you do Secret Wars and you bring in the Fox team into the MCU, people will mark the fuck out. But the good ones.
The good ones, yeah.
The good ones. People would mark out, and that would mean more money for Disney than with a new cast. I know that sounds silly, but everyone feels there's been such an injustice to all these characters, and that would be the more easy route to take, to just bring them in an event like Secret Wars. But they're not going to do that. They're going to want to establish their own characters, their own actors, their own lineup.
Longevity and marketing is what they're looking at.
Yeah, Cyclops needs justice. Storm needs justice. Okay, they'd never had justice. All right, even Jean was fucking boring. In fact, the only people that got showcased really well were like Wolverine, Magneto, and Professor X.
Quicksilver, I think, got okay. I mean, it wasn't the best, but I think
Quicksilver. No.
Could you imagine
his character was good, but he wasn't used well.
This Quicksilver was just a weird little douche.
He wasn't used well.
But couldn't you see like if this Quicksilver met like Wanda and like they had that dynamic where they're brother and sister, but not really, like it,
Yeah, but then you want to go down the fucking Ultimate Avengers 3 kind of route?
Oh no! We're not doing that. No, we're not. I just meant like the dynamic of them like being brother and sister, but then just kind of like learning everything about another one, their differences.
I mean,
but let's just keep it real. But let's keep it real. It really was Wolverine and the X-Men. Also, by the way, I think Storm got an okay hit and miss sort of run in the series. It was really Wolverine and the X-Men, and that's what it was about.
Yeah.
Well, and that's kind of the thing they could do in Secret Wars is with how that goes. They could bring Hugh Jackman back as Old Man Logan.
No.
I mean, just for that movie. Like, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying like bring him into like the MCU proper and make him Wolverine. I'm just saying like, you could have him like, and at the end he makes I don't want to say a grand sacrifice because then that diminishes what he did in his movie. But
if you're gonna have Hugh Jackman in there, then make him the only Wolverine in the MCU by being Old Man Logan.
I mean, I'm okay with
I
that.
can't because
Yeah, I'm with
personally,
that.
then if you're gonna have another, it feels wrong having then another actor to also play Wolverine because the guy's got to pretty much look like fucking Hugh Jackman in height as well as looks, and that's gonna feel weird if he isn't. So
Well,
I want to.
this is why. Yeah, this is why. Like this, because of the impact Hugh Jackman had on that role. This is why Wolverine will be one of the last fucking characters they introduce in the MCU. They're gonna go. They're gonna go.
Unknown,
They're gonna go more for the more kind of diversity route more than anything, which is fine. There's great fucking characters here, but
even Fox didn't do much diversity. There were so many blue characters. I felt like I was in a Smurf village.
yeah,
I actually, Ginger, I think they're going to go for an unknown, just like Hugh Jackman was himself.
yeah, of course, yeah.
Oh,
They're going to go with
and
that.
It's
a safe bet.
for money.
Huh?
They can get them for pennies on the dollar because they're
The unknown.
ambitious.
Yeah. Yeah, they're all the whole cast are going to be like, especially the younguns and Wolverine. Yeah, it's going to be completely new, completely fresh, and they're going to want to put their own kind of mark on there. Will it be as dark? Will it be too comedic? Because X-Men's like a good balance, you know. And you've got to have a baseball bat at the end of the film, a baseball game at the end of the film, because that's kind of like an X-Men tradition.
X-Men is all about prejudice and stuff like that. You know, it's basically fascism, but against mutants, regardless of what they.
But you have to do it in the right way because we're so like desensitized to all that stuff nowadays. With like between, not to get political, but between Donald Trump and all this other stuff going on, it's just like we're so desensitized to it sometimes. It's hard.
There's the other argument as well, though. The other argument is that people are too hardwired to be vigilant against any kind of political message now in films. And again, we are going to get a bit political here because it does involve the mutants. But when the message of like prejudice and hatred and love, sex, and equality come up, you always see the fucking right wingers pissing and moaning on the internet, any kind of inclination. So with X-Men, it is going to have to be political. It is going to have to cover the. You could go down the other route of in this universe because of the established people like Spider-Man and Wanda and the Avengers and all of that. There is less of a global fear and hatred towards mutants at the beginning, but then some kind of event happens where they're more feared, and they at first they're kind of like trusted and equal to people, but then after an event that happens, an attack, a terrorist or something like that, that's when you start to see the fear and mistrust in the mutants. And I think it's a safer way to do it than being hated from the start, because with no motivation and them just being hated, it could just trigger a bunch of morons. And also, it's not kind of in today's society, it just doesn't fit. Like if you rebooted the X-Men in the comics today, it will be such a minority of people that had mistrust and hatred, and also that same group would be utilizing them for their own advantages and gains at the same time. So you might have to kind of modernize the X-Men and bring it into the 2020 whatever kind of situation, because there'll be social medias, and again, with social media and all that kind of shit, if I'm a mutant, I'm posting that shit on fucking Instagram or TikTok or whatever with my powers, and you're gonna get famous and loved, like all freaks and geeks. So
they could also do something like the Stanford incident from the beginning of Civil War, the comic book Civil War, right up here. Like let's say mutants of let's say the beginning of the movie, you start to see these mutants come out and about, after the snap, after they hit puberty, and then you go about 6 months later, and then all of a sudden there's a Stanford incident where there's an explosion by a school and a whole neighborhood, and it is mutant related. It was accidental, and it wasn't. But then that's all of a sudden when people start to, because it's like hate crimes sometimes are, not saying this is true, but to society, sometimes hate crimes are more forgivable than power accidentally abused. And I'm not saying they should be forgivable. I'm just saying, like, that's how the media spins it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's their personal belief to hate mutants. Whereas, oh my God, this person has this power and we didn't know it. And then this person exploded because that's their power. And they took out a whole school of kids.
Yeah.
So it's like now they're like they're fearing more the unknown rather than fearing just because they're different.
Yeah.
And that's going to cause the divide, isn't it? That's going to cause a divide, because for me, that's how the prejudice is going to be, because they're going to be scared of people with powers, and that's going to cause a divide, because there'll be some people, you know, amongst them, but the mutants are still humans at the end of the day, and they still have human emotions, and some of them are going to say, look, we don't want to become the bad guys here, we don't want to be fighting against these people, we don't want to be, you know, ruling over these people, whilst other people will say, you know what, we've got the fucking power, these guys are treating us like shit, let's fucking run this joint. So you're going to have that battle between the mutants with different ideologies, and as well as regular humans hating on them regardless. It's going to be very interesting to see how they pull that off.
Well, and
if they do.
I don't really want them to go the tyrant route. We're superior, so we should run this place. I feel like that I like how one of the main things I love about Fassbender in the X-Men movies was his Magneto was so all he wanted was to be left
He was
alone.
tyrannical, dude.
Huh?
No, he said to Pyro that you are, so you know, you're a god amongst insects. You know, he knew.
Okay, that's Ian McKellen's Magneto, and I've got issues with that Magneto because he had a superiority complex. That does that does not interest me, because all that is your supervillain of the week. I'm better, so Magneto was more interesting in the newer Fox stuff, because he was benevolent to a point where he's just like, I can protect my people and I will protect my people, but we just want to be left alone. And when they keep getting pushed and pushed and pushed, that's when Magneto would push back. Whereas Ian McKellen,
that's the more comic accurate Magneto.
Huh?
That's the more comic book accurate Magneto. The more like protecting his own, and just give us a place where we can be, you know, which is like the whole Asteroid M and Genosha and, you know, all these kind of things.
They said that's an injury, but I prefer the Ian McKellen one, because why should these guys, to a degree, be just put on a plot of land and just be stuck there and not be able to mingle in society and stuff like that? You know,
if that's the other reality of it, you would get someone like a Magneto who'd be like, well, I'm going to rule the fucking world, kind of thing.
Yeah,
you've got the power.
I like that.
So there is that.
I think one of the things that the Fox universe got wrong with Apocalypse was the fact that he wasn't like Apocalypse was a tyrant. Like he wanted to rule, you know, and I mean, if you're going to go that route, then you might as well do Apocalypse.
Yeah, which is it's fine because they mishandled him in the fucking film anyway.
Yeah, I honestly wasn't
Yeah. So Apocalypse. Yeah. So okay. So we've covered the X-Men. Now we move on to the original family. That is, of course, Fantastic Four. Now, originally, I thought they were going to pop up in Phase 4. Again, with that, I would have centered it kind of around the events of both Doctor Strange and the Snap, and have Doctor Doom be the main kind of focus in this, and that he also trains at the same place as Doctor Strange does. Because, you know, Doctor Doom is in that kind of realm of mysticism and magic. And he could have been like a student lackey of Mordo.
Oh, you stole my freaking idea.
Fuck it. But it makes sense, though.
Yeah.
It makes sense for Doctor Doom to be a Mordo lackey who in the end, who goes with, I forgot her name, his first love. Shit. There's a woman that he absolutely loved, and she got killed.
You talking about Mordo, or are you talking about Von Doom?
No, Von Doom.
Oh, what was her name?
I forget her name. Remember. But basically, what happens is, I would have put him as being Sokovian, not Latverian, in this, or he's Latverian, but there are a load of Sokovian refugees in Latveria, and a bunch of shit happens and all chaos breaks loose in Latveria, and Doom comes back whilst he's away in Tibet and sees his power. that kind of route in Latveria or Sokovia or whatever they want to fucking put him through. But in his kind of time away, he's, studied with, he's confronted Doctor Strange. He's gone off to New York and done all his. I had it written down now. Fucking lost my place. But anyway, before I ramble on, Cheeto, Fantastic Four. Oh, he's frozen. He's dead.
He's messaged us.
What happened?
1 second.
My computer randomly shut that off. I'll be back on in 1 second. All right, Sam.
Okay. When you start talking about Doctor Doom, one of the things I really want from Doctor Doom is to be a reoccurring villain, not just in the Fantastic Four, but in different sagas throughout Phase 5. It would be really interesting to see him like coming up against the Guardians, coming up against other people, Thor maybe in different movies. Just somebody who you could possibly beat, but you just can't get rid of, And it'll be very interesting to see like being that constant pain in the ass in the MCU for these good guys to have to deal with. I think that's how I'd like to see Doctor Doom portrayed. That way, I think that would help him. That would benefit his character as somebody who can't be killed so easily by powerful, but even not even necessarily lose to these guys. Maybe beat them as well. Like end the movie. You could end Full God and Love and Thunder with Von Doom beating Thor, and that's it. And then see what the fifth Thor movie brings, or maybe you can bring him back in Avengers. There's so many ways you could deal with this, but obviously initially, if Von Doom's going to get introduced into the MCU, it's got to be through the Fantastic Four. I mean, it doesn't have to be, but it feels the right thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, like given the choice, I would have done a Doctor Doom film on its own, or had him in Doctor Strange 2 as a lackey of Mordor. Somebody who's training under him. And that's where he meets his missus. They fall in love. I forgot a fucking name, and that's bugging me. And then there's like upheaval back at his place, and then he kind of his own film would be him seizing power in Latveria. But on the flip side, he's going to probably get introduced in Fantastic Four. In that case, you have him and Reed Richards as good friends to begin with.
That old dynamic, that old chestnut.
Yeah, the old dynamic, friendly rivals. But again, Von Doom goes off,
become enemies.
Becomes the ruler of Latveria, becomes very rich. Or it's that way. He's a ruler, he's very rich, comes to New York and helps kind of fund things to kind of help his powers or gain more kind of shit. I don't know.
His powers have always been a bit of an enigma to me, because depending on what film or comic book you've read, it all comes in different ways.
He's like, I mean, he kind of has Doctor Strange's stuff, but he didn't study the same place as Doctor Strange, if I remember. I'll probably get shot for that, but he didn't. But in this, no, he didn't study at the same place. But in this, you can have him as a student from that same area because it all ties in.
Something popped into my head, because did you mention Sokovia as well?
Yeah.
It would be good that if he got some of Ultron's vibranium metal, and that's the metal he uses, he crafts it.
Suit. Oh, yeah.
That would be sick. So he's covered in vibranium.
Yeah.
To make him even more indestructible.
Yeah, I never fucking thought of that, actually. But yeah, that would be great. That's what he builds his suit out.
Yeah, out of Ultron.
Yeah. Out of Ultron. Yeah. And that, because he could be like bits exploded everywhere and he got his hands on it. And that's what he builds his suit on. And we don't go down the route of having 50,000 different types of metals. We just have adamantium, vibranium here.
Which is harder, by the way, adamantium or vibranium? Which is the more? But they're both space metals.
Yeah, I can't fucking remember which. Well, yeah, they're both asteroids. They're both like from outer space. I actually let me Google that because I can't, because they're both like indestructible as well.
Well, that's what
vibranium melts when you heat it up and can turn into liquid. Hang on.
Well, only adamantium can destroy adamantium, because that's how Wolverine was able to chop off Deadpool's head in the first Wolverine movie.
Well, no, forget that fucking film. That doesn't count. Vibranium versus adamantium. Let's see. While vibranium is the more durable material, adamantium is the more dense material. If we had to pit shield versus claws, since shield is a vibranium alloy, not just pure vibranium, it can withstand the attack of adamantium claw. Well, that doesn't fucking help. Adamantium is the strongest material known to man. Is in fact stronger than vibranium.
Fair enough.
So,
but as I was saying regarding, hoping cousin Cheeto here is saying that fantastic idea is my idea of a reoccurring villain. But in a way, he could almost be like the new Loki, because Loki, he was still pretty much a villain right prior to his death. He was still he was somebody you could never trust. And we could take it to the next level with Victor Von Doom. He's somebody you find it really hard to kill. He's so hard to kill that you have to banish him more than kill him. That's the only way you can get rid of him. And as I said earlier, let him win some of those battles against some of the good guys. That'd be great. I mean,
the first confrontation with the Fantastic Four ending in him being victorious would be fantastic. Rather than them winning. And you go then into the next film with a tale of the hero's redemption or some shit. Cheeto, welcome back. Thoughts on Fantastic Four?
I was kind of listening on my phone while my computer was booting back up because it's dumb. Finally get a new webcam, audio, internet. Then my computer's like, yeah, fuck you.
Yeah, suck dick, eat it. Fucking piece of shit.
So Fantastic Four. So my thought process on Fantastic Four is I want them to debut in the next Avengers movie with Galactus. Not like with him, but like the Silver Surfer comes to Earth, and they're like the Richards family is, in a rocket in space with Space U instead of SpaceX, and or Space R. I don't know. But and then like let's say that the Silver Surfer goes to warp away or something like that, and they get caught in the wake of his cosmic warp or whatever. And that's where the cosmic rays kind of like hit them, and that's where they start to develop their powers. And then so then they start to develop these powers, but then Galactus comes, and and so then you have the Avengers, and because you can't have Galactus and not have the Avengers involved. Like the state of the MCU, you can't do that. Like
fair enough.
Yeah, obviously.
So I figure it'll be a good place for the Fantastic Four to debut in an Avengers movie. But then, like then you would have an actual Fantastic Four movie not long after that. But you would debut the characters with the Avengers. So like, Reed Richards, Sue Storm, they're researching with Bruce Banner and, T'Challa or Shuri more, trying to combat this whole Galactus thing. And, you got the Human Torch, doing his thing. I don't know. I mean, I don't have it all plotted out, but I feel like introducing them in an Avengers movie and then giving them their own movie where that introduces Victor Von Doom, and where you guys were saying that Victor Von, make it more of a story, make the Fantastic Four movie more of a story about Victor Von Doom. Like you were saying, having him a disciple of Mordo, because Mordo is now doing his own thing outside of Doctor Strange. And I think that, I don't know if you were talking about introducing that in the Multiverse of Madness or just introducing that in the Fantastic Four movie, but
no, in the Multiverse of Madness.
Okay, so but then then you have and I know you mentioned something about Sokovia, but I kind of missed the rest. My thought, and you may have already said this, my thought is that Victor Von Doom then takes over Sokovia and turns it into Latveria.
Oh, that
There. If you look at the map, like the fictional map of the MCU, Sokovia and Latveria are basically right on top of each other.
Yeah.
So it would just make sense that.
Roberto,
sorry, go on, Sam.
Roberto, all I said regarding Sokovia is that Von Doom finds Ultron's metal, which is vibranium, and uses
I heard that. I love that.
He uses that to be his armor. That's all I said regarding that.
And
so I finally remembered what it was about the Sokovia thing, and I've said that in my original write-up that Doom is Sokovian, not Latverian. Of course, turning it into Latveria is great, and what happens is that the neighboring countries around Sokovia are getting restless because nothing's been done, nothing's been rebuilt in that country. The refugees are still there. They're getting attacked and brutalized and all this. And obviously, Von Doom uses that opportunity to kind of rally up his people, and they invade Sokovia and take over. And then he's established as the ruler of Sokovia, and changes it to Latveria if that works, great. But that was what my original plan for Von Doom was. That he leaves behind whatever he was doing to go and help his people. Obviously, with his established powers and all of that, he sees his power at a young age, becomes really rich, and kind of helps that with like funding, whatever, blah blah blah. But yeah, the name derives from the Celtic Brigo, meaning exalted one, fire,
Captain
god, power,
Marvel.
strength, Brigo.
You can't wait for Captain Marvel 2.
Yeah, but that's
can't wait
the
either.
actress Brie. That's got nothing to do with Captain Marvel. But thank you for the lovely education, Captain Marvel. I'm looking forward to it. I really hope with Captain Marvel 2 that it is set in space and it's like with the Kree and all of that. But unfortunately, it's going to be set in modern times.
I know, that makes me so mad.
Yeah, could have had so much more fun with just having it still set like late 90s, early 2000s. And there's like a Kree war that she's kind of doing, but
yeah, my thought. Are we moving on to
personally-
Captain Marvel 2 or
what?
Yeah, well,
Are we moving on to
regarding
Captain Marvel 2?
Yeah, we can
I'm
move.
just
Captain
gonna-
Marvel too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just regarding what Captain Marvel 2, I want it to be set in modern time, but I want the story to progress. But I do want it to be set in space at the same time, so I'm willing to compromise on that.
Yeah, as long as it's not on Earth. Yeah.
I mean, my thoughts on Captain Marvel 2, as I've told, I think you guys in the past, is I want it to be set in the late 90s. Going through the Kree War, and it's a continuation of the first Captain Marvel movie.
Yeah.
And I did a whole fantasy Captain Marvel 2, not script, but plot synopsis or whatever. And in my fantasy of Captain Marvel 2, that's where I introduced Galactus, like as a threat. Like because in the comic books, Galactus destroys the Skrull homeworld. And that's why, so I think in Captain Marvel 2, that would be a great place that the Kree I call it the Devourer beacon. And it basically attracts the Silver Surfer to planets because they basically want to deflect Galactus from any Kree planets.
Well, yeah.
So what they do is they send it to what?
Right, yeah. No,
So
just agreeing with what you're saying.
So in the end, like it's basically like the Skrulls are trying to set up their new homeworld. The Kree find out where it is. They send the Devourer beacon, and Galactus goes and feeds on it. And long story short, basically Captain Marvel goes up against the Silver Surfer to basically a standstill because they're both really powerful. And how do you balance that power? But Silver Surfer. But then she goes to attack Galactus when Silver Surfer's distracted or whatever. And then Galactus just romfle stomps her, like just blasts her, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh crap! Like this lady who kicked the crap out of Thanos, basically with the Infinity Gems, just romfle stomped Captain Marvel. So that establishes Galactus as an even bigger threat than even the Silver Surfer. And so I know it kind of leads heavily into that, but at the same time, it establishes the threat of Galactus against the most powerful Avenger.
Maybe they could really throw a twist in there and kill Captain Marvel off.
That won't happen.
No, not in the past.
Yeah, not in the past.
Oh yeah, you make it in the
would,
past, don't you? No, but then something. See, this is where something like Galactus in the past. This is where it doesn't work with the current day Captain Marvel from Endgame. It just doesn't make sense then.
However, no, but if
you
introduce Galactus in the next Avengers movie, that gives Captain Marvel a reason to fear because she's already been defeated by Galactus. And then all of a sudden Galactus fed because she failed. And Galactus fed on the Skrull the new Skrull homeworld.
Fair enough.
And then even though she survived,
it's a good route to take because she's obviously aware of Galactus. We now know that the Skrull are on Earth, okay? But the Skrull, to make them more interesting than just comedy fodder, is you could feel that they were let down by Captain Marvel or by who they associate with her being an Earthling, and so their actual plan is secret invasion on Earth to take over Earth and to kind of take that, and then maybe with Galactus being defeated by Earthlings with the nullifier or whatever, that's then when the Skrull pounce to say, well, we know he's not coming back here, so it could be a safe haven, and we know that with these lot we could take on the Kree or whatever kind of thing, and after that event you can have secret invasion. So
and the Skrulls become the bad guys.
Yeah, they become the bad guys.
If they were the bad guys from the beginning, I would have been fine. But now, I like the Skrulls. I don't want them to be bad guys.
That's the twist.
Or there's just different factions.
I know. I'm not sure if it works. I'm not sure if it works with the slavery scene they had.
Yeah. Well,
maybe different factions.
They could have gone down. In
I really like the Skrulls.
Cartoon, the Silver Surfer helped the Skrulls find a new home and a new planet. Yeah. So, yeah, it's not going to happen, but you know.
Regarding the Beyonder Captain Marvelous is basically God of the MCU, just like Mephisto is basically the devil of the MCU. You know, Beyonder is God. He created Battle World. He did all. I mean, he can do anything.
Yeah. I wonder if we'll ever see him.
If they do Secret Wars, I think we might.
Yeah. Well,
but yeah, so that's my Captain Marvel spiel. I mean,
all right. I mean, I'm not fussed either way, but it's not a bad way to introduce Galactus. But again, probably not. The likeliest rumor are that we might get him in Guardians 3. So
that'll be interesting.
That'll be interesting how they do it. But like I said, if he comes in Guardians 3, he's got to fucking destroy the planet that they're on. So we have an established threat.
Well, and I really think Galactus needs to kill somebody. Like,
yeah.
Like, I think he needs to just, I mean, either, I don't care if it's Drax. I'll say I don't care if it's Drax, but I mean, that would kind of be a good closing to his story. He has nothing, I mean, unless you go to a different route with him, there's nothing else really for him to do.
Yeah,
all he's there for is to act invisible.
Drax and Mantis can get killed off.
Not Mantis. I think Mantis has still got something to offer.
Whatever. Her, or you know, yeah, they can kill off. They can kill off half the crew. They've done what they needed to do.
Even Nebula is kind of completed her arc.
Yeah, she's completed her own arc.
Yeah, so
Captain Marvel will be on the sword space. See, that's the other thing. They might establish sword in Captain Marvel too.
Well, they're establishing it in WandaVision. I don't know to what extent though. Yeah, because there's been sightings on the set of WandaVision where Agents of S.W.O.R.D. has, like, the logo and stuff has been on there. So unless they're throwing that up there to throw people off, but I don't know.
Yeah, she'll definitely survive Doctor Strange.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
she's like closer to one of the closest original characters left from the earlier phases. So for sure.
Yeah,
and honestly, I like her character. Like the Wanda we got in Age of Ultron is much different than the Wanda we have now. And honestly, I want her to be one of the villains of the next couple phases. You know, like I kind of feel like if it's somebody who's close to home with the Avengers, that because like all these other villains have been like, outside sources. Ultron, Loki was kind of close with Thor, but you know what I mean. Like Loki. Thanos was an outside source. I mean, Wanda all just goes batshit crazy in WandaVision and then comes back as a villain in an Avengers movie.
Yeah, they're not going to do that, but I think that would be a fantastic villain, having to deal with one of your own. It's what made House of M such an amazing. Before House of M and during House of M, what made it such a brilliant story? It's like you've got to kill one of your own. You've got no choice. So
she's not a mutant. No, just saying Captain Marvelous, she's not a mutant. She got a power. The MCU Wanda got a power through the Mind Stone. She's not the MCU
not a mutant.
Wanda is not a mutant.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's a mutate technically, like Deadpool.
Yeah, she's a mutate. Yeah. most think the Brood for Captain Marvel 2. I don't think the Brood will be in that. I think the Brood's more kind of X-Men related, or more associated with the X-Men.
I mean, you could have a
By the way,
cameo or at least a mention of the
You
Brood.
could have them in there.
You could be
Yeah.
like, they could like go be going to a planet and be like, "Is that planet that the Brood infested? Oh, we ain't going there. Nah, fuck that."
just to get things back down to earth, what about Ant-Man 3?
Oh, I got ideas on this, but you guys go ahead.
I couldn't give a shit. Go for it. I hate
I mean,
the series.
I thoroughly enjoyed Ant-Man, but I thought Ant-Man 2 missed the mark big time. Wasn't that good. I was quite disappointed with it. I expected it to be good. The trailers looked fucking fantastic with it. But I still have hope for Ant-Man. I do like the character. I wanted to see more Giant Man from Ant-Man in Ant-Man 3. But I couldn't even fathom where they would go with it, because so far nearly everything we're talking about seems to be off Earth and not on Earth. And regarding what could happen on Earth to affect the overall, plot and direction. I mean, he doesn't even have to go anywhere. It could be its own kind of self-contained story, I guess. Ant-Man 3, but I can't even fathom what it could be. Bobby, go on. Tell me what you got.
The title of the third Ant-Man movie is going to be Ant-Man, Wasp, and the Hulk.
Oh
You
yeah,
think the Hulk's going to be in it?
Yeah, the Hulk's going to be in it. Could you imagine Banner and like Hank Pym, and then like you got the camaraderie between like the Hulk and Ant-Man, Scott Lang, and I just feel like there would be a lot of good moments there, because the Ant-Man movies are kind of like the breath of fresh air in the MCU. They're not. It's not a hugely heavy franchise within the franchise. I don't know what you call that, but like I really wanted to, kind of be something. I mean, even if Bruce Banner goes with them to the macroverse or the microverse or the quantum realm, whatever you want to call it. For some reason they recruit Bruce Banner to go with them to, down to the microverse, and they start exploring down there. I honestly am not interested at all at the microverse. I mean, I know they teased the city that was in there. Like, I don't care. I really don't.
I don't give a shit. I honestly don't care what they do with that, man.
I want to see a little Hulk running around blasting through buildings, but being this tall.
Yeah.
I think you would just have, and like a little heart, like Hulk smash, rah! And he goes running around.
I would actually love to see that. And also, Captain Marvel has mentioned Black Panther. I don't even know where Black Panther goes. I mean, actually, I do to a degree. I can imagine him being more of a diplomat and maybe just giving Wakanda more to the world and opening up his country a bit more and stuff. But as a plot, I don't know what he's gonna fucking do.
I like the idea of Black Panther versus Atlantis versus Wakanda. It's always been a thing, but you can also say the same thing about Latveria. I mean, Latveria versus Wakanda or Latveria versus Atlantis. I mean, it is very interesting having like those three nations kind of go at it, just because they're three original nations that have very, I don't say fierce dictators, but they have dictators and like very honorable and prideful, and that's always been a dynamic that's interested me between those three nations, because they're like very small nations, but they're very powerful.
Yeah.
If Donnie was a bit sorry, Ginger, I'll give you a sec. If Donnie Yen was a bit younger, he'll be the perfect Namor, in my opinion.
Well, it depends if they do cast an Asian actor for Namor. I mean, it is a logical route to take. It kind of does look Asian. But with Black Panther 2, I mean, they hinted at it in Endgame about shakings down in the ocean, earthquakes down in the ocean.
No, that was Quake.
That
was Quake from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, Quake from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Yeah, she had a bad burrito while she was under the ocean, did she? But, because Black Panther 2 is, where do you go with this character? And you should make it a big fucking film, like about kings clashing, and so going up against, could be people behind the scenes trying to pitch these two places together so they can come in and take all the spoils, So, but I'd love to see Black Panther 2 and versus Namor. Go on, yeah.
I feel like that would be a great premise for an Illuminati movie. Like the Marvel's Illuminati.
Yeah.
I mean, because you got Black Panther, you've got Doctor Doom, you've got Namor. I mean, all of those are either a part of the Illuminati or Cabal. I mean, you could bring like Doctor Strange in for some stuff. I mean, you could. I mean, here's my thing about Avengers and everything is they need to get something else besides Avengers in there, but they don't need to have like massive carryover. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you need to have. I would love to see a not Avengers movie, but an Illuminati, or even do Avengers Illuminati or something. I don't know, but it's not
We're
that I'm
not gonna
sick of
get
the
that.
Avengers, but I would
Yeah.
love to see like this big style political thriller with like these major characters, but it's like Avengers level rather than just like Captain America: The Winter Soldier, which was a fantastic movie, but not
Yeah.
everything in Avenger. I think it has a chance to go away from the world-ending skybeam robot invasion of Thanos. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and I think that would be because, and I think with now the characters they have introduced between hopefully Reed Richards, Doctor Strange, may hopefully Professor X. I know there's more.
Yeah. The only one you're not going to get from the Illuminati is Iron Man.
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah,
fine.
for sure.
You don't really need it.
But Black Panther could take his place because I don't think Black
Yeah,
Panther
Black
in the
Panther,
Illuminati.
he's not in the Illuminati, and he should be.
Yeah. So I mean, but that's what I'm saying. Kind of like this, like big, this big, political thriller, but have like the big names of the Marvel franchise in there. So it's not really an Avengers movie, but so you're not going in there expecting like this big, huge, massive space battle and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
But you have all these like 5 or 6 main characters. And I mean, that even if there's not like a huge, like massive battle at the end, it's going to make gangbusters because you got Black Panther in there, you've got Reed Richards in there, you've got Xavier in there, you've got all of these big, major, big cocked characters, and and let's say they're facing off against like a Cabal, like Doctor Doom, Namor, and just some of these other ones, and it I don't know, that's just kind of my thought on that.
Yeah, that's fair. Right. So we have some questions here. Wow, Captain Marvelous is already moving on to like Thor.
Captain Marvel has actually said something about Blade, and I am actually I love Blade. I fucking love Wesley Snipes' Blade 1 and 2, excellent films. But I'm not sure how I feel about Blade in the MCU. Vampires in this world. I mean, it just I don't know how I feel about that. It just feels like it's just like, where the fuck did vampires come from? You know what I mean? It just doesn't feel like it belongs in this world. It just feels weird. I mean, they kind of got it with Morpheus. If they bring Morpheus, into the MCU via Sony, but other than that, I can't think of any. It just feels so fucking wrong. Blade feels so fucking wrong in this universe. I'm not. I mean, I hope they can make it right, and I hope they prove me wrong. But I'm not feeling it personally. I don't know about you guys.
I'm not. Yeah, I agree. I think Blade, it's just not that. I know people want to see him and that, but honestly, I couldn't give a fuck about Blade. That's why I think it's going to keep getting pushed back. I don't think we're going to see it anytime soon. I think it's just going to keep getting pushed back. Same with Moon Knight. I think because I was going to talk about those, I was saying they're likely just going to get pushed back and then dropped, as Disney just won't have the balls to go ahead with them to make them R-rated, which they should be. Now we don't know if they're meant to be. Was Blade meant to be a series or a film?
They never specified. They made it sound like a movie.
It felt like a movie.
If I was to do it, I would slap Blade on Hulu and just go adult. But again, vampires in the MCU is just fucking weird at this point.
Yeah,
I mean, they can get the COVID vampire virus.
Yeah.
But I don't want to keep using Doctor Strange 2 as the mechanism for all this shit. I mean, it becomes ridiculous. Doctor Strange 2 is the answer for fucking everything.
It really is.
Yeah, I know.
When
but
you say the word the multiverse, that's it. Forget the shitty horror route they were going to take.
Oh God, yeah.
Take a world of its own. Or a couple of
so I just don't want it to be, though. I mean, something's just a step too far, and for me, vampires is definitely it. But we'll see how it goes. I mean, if it does happen, it does happen. I guess I just feel like they're flooding it with too much shit, too many different characters now. It's like, for fuck's sake.
Well, and
It's
that's what I'm
overwhelming.
worried about.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about with Doctor Strange. They're kind of it's going to be bursting at the seams with all of this fan service that we want, and it's like, I honestly don't know if they're going to do that or not. I think that they're smart enough not to, but
look, with Sam Raimi taking the helm now, we don't know what the fuck we're going to get. I hope
we're going to get Venom. They're going to make sure we get Venom.
Yeah. Well, Venom,
they're going to cram him in there at the last second.
Yeah, chuck him in at the last second. But with Sam Raimi taking Doctor Strange too, we'll probably get a load of shit, cheesy, out of date, messy crap. But let's see. Okay, so Thor 4 we have next. Another series I have no interest in because I fucking hate what they've done to Thor in this MCU. I hate it with a passion. I really don't give a shit that people like this Thor. This isn't Thor. This is another typically cucked male in the fucking Disneyverse, and it pisses me off. So if they transfer his powers to Jane, good, get rid, fucking add enough of it. Those are my thoughts.
I don't want Jane Foster to be Thor. I want either Sif or...
No, it's going to happen though.
I know it's going to happen. I don't want Natalie Portman to be Thor. Let me put it that way. I don't care about Jane Foster. I don't want Natalie Portman to be Thor.
Yeah, she's a fucking boring.
Regarding Chris Hemsworth, I think he's still going to be around.
I like Chris Hemsworth as Thor.
And I do think he's going to get his power back, and I'm in total disagreement with you, Ginger. I think he's excellent Thor. I mean, he's acting in that scene with him and Rocket in Infinity War, just brilliant acting. The guy's, I mean, his whole character change in Endgame.
It's what they've done with the character.
He's been on the biggest roller coaster of any of them.
Lebowski. They could have done a lot better.
I think it was done well. I think I think it was done well because of how Chris Hemsworth performed. You know, he made it good. He saved it.
I hated it with a passion. You know, they could have gone down a much better route than some fucking Big Lebowski bollocks with that.
All right, so we have
even Ragnarok pissed me off. I hate that film. Like, Thor's just a stupid dude, bro. Come on, man. Anyway,
do we want to go through a couple of these questions really fast? I mean, it's
yeah.
So who will the bad guy or girl be in Thor 4? And then Captain Marvelous asked, Enchantress or Beta Ray Bill?
No, it's going to be Gore will be the bad guy. We know this. This is who Christian Bale's going to play.
Oh, is it? I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope Beta Ray Bill is in it, but I think he would fit more in the Guardians of the Galaxy type format. So I think, honestly, since they're talking about revamping the Guardians team, I think if Beta Ray Bill shows up in the Guardians movie, and see, that's another thing. You're cramming everything into a Guardians movie, trying to set up the next phase of Guardians, and it's like, I don't know. I like Beta Ray Bill, but I'm okay with waiting. Everyone's like, "Oh, he's supposed to be in Ragnarok. What happened?"
They don't need to add to Guardians because they've got Nebula there. She's going to be the person to replace Drax. And Mantis is also, she joined them in Galaxy 2, so they've already got a decent team who doesn't need replacing.
Well, it all depends on the actors and their contracts.
And Gamora is going to coming back and all that shit. So.
Yeah, it all kind of depends on what they're going to do. All right. The MCU changed gods to aliens in Thor, so they might change vampires to something different. Wait, which gods did they change to aliens in Thor?
The Asgardians. They were aliens. I remember.
Yeah.
Saying they're not gods, they're aliens.
See, this is what I mean. They're handling of Thor. I think X-Men should be TV series only. No, I disagree there. No, X-Men, it could have TV series with the younger mutants and smaller groups and things like that. But as the team as a whole, no, it needs to be in the MCU because it will be. Them and the Fantastic Four are going to be the ones moving it forward because they're the more bankable team. The remnants of what's left of the Avengers now, it's not going to have the same kind of box office pull as Iron Man, Cap, and Thor did.
Well, and that's
So
why I think there should be like Avengers should more transform into more of an Illuminati type thing. Like
yeah,
even if you call it Avengers Illuminati or whatever, I feel like that's kind of the route you need to go because it's such a dynamic change from the original Avengers from that first movie.
yeah.
So I want to sign off soon, but before we do, are we going to still see certain people in the future? We're still going to see Rhodey, for instance. We're still going to see people like the Wasp maybe teaming up for an Avengers film. Are we still going to get these characters who are still established, still around, still alive?
I would hope so.
What's going to happen with Rhodey, for instance? I mean,
I want Rhodey to lead a West Coast Avengers type thing. I don't care if it's a Disney Plus show or a movie later on. Like I think Rhodey deserves to be the leader of a team. And honestly, I think they should take it like people say the West Coast Avengers are kind of a joke, but I think they should take it seriously. Like I think Rhodey's earned that right. I mean, he's got the experience, he's got the military know-how to run a organization, and he's been an Avenger. Like he's been a full-fledged Avenger.
Should he be the new Iron Man?
I don't know if you can make him the new Iron Man, but I don't know if you want him to be I think he needs to be his own thing. Like I think he needs to be his own thing, but with his own team.
A War Machine movie.
I don't know if you could pull off a War Machine movie. That's why I say you have to do an Avengers West Coast thing.
Yeah, there wouldn't be enough interest for him to do his own movie. And no, I don't want Terrence Howard back for War Machine.
No, you can't. No way. It's just too silly to have him.
He's an asshole anyway.
Yeah, he's an asshole.
Yeah, that's all. But Don Cheadle, that's his role now. That's obviously we know in the comic books, Rhodey's built like a brick shithouse, but that's not really relevant.
Yeah, and Wolverine's 5'3", so I mean,
yeah, exactly. Wolverine's 5'3" and went out with a 6'2" actor. So
yeah, Don Cheadle's 54 now. He looks a bit old and podgy, doesn't he? But Don Cheadle, he's 54.
Yeah, he's an oldie. Him and Robert Downey are the same age, roughly.
I just want to see something. They use him somehow. I mean, I don't know what films he could be involved in. I mean, if you think about the current phases, could he be in the Black Widow movie in the fuck that, totally fuck that. But could he be in Black Panther maybe?
No, I feel like that's like me putting Agent May in Shang-Chi.
Yeah,
maybe he could be in Falcon and the Wasp. Oh, sorry, Falcon.
That's what I was going to say. Falcon and Winter Soldier. He could be in that.
That he could be, because remember, Rhodey and Falcon were both a part of like the new Avengers after Age of Ultron. So a lot of people don't realize. Well, a lot of people don't think about the fact that after Age of Ultron, up through Civil War, the Avengers were doing their own adventures. Like they were the Avengers. Now there weren't any like big world-ending things happening, but they were still doing missions and stuff,
terrorism and things like that.
Yeah. So I mean, go ahead.
But you reminded me. I want to see fucking Falcon. Captain America Falcon. I want to see that. I mean, I really need to see that as a fucking movie, not just a series. But I mean, I want to see an actual film as Anthony Mackie as Captain America. With the Falcon gimmick as well. I want to see it all. I really want to see that. I mean, I can't wait for the series, because for me, the Falcon Winter Soldier is the closest thing we're going to get to a continuation of after Endgame and after Spider-Man Far From Home. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. But I really want to see another Captain America as well in future phases, and I want it to be Anthony Mackie. I really want.
Yeah, that's the good thing with the series as well, is you can do all this shit without over bloating the main cinematic universe, so you can build him up there, and then obviously have him like lead the Avengers or help in the Avengers or whatever, and when they come to the next film.
And that's kind of how with my when we were making this Phase 5 fantasy list up, is because on mine I had Falcon and Winter Soldier season 2. Or Falcon and Winter Soldier 2, not like season 2. Because really, what these Disney Plus shows are going to be, they're going to be just like long movies, like The Mandalorian. So it's like, honestly, these are going to have movie style budgets with movie style actors, but they're just going to be longer things. So honestly, you can sit down and just watch it over an extended period of time, like, in one day. And it's just like a Lord of the Rings Return of the King for, because that's what they really need to do. They need to treat these shows, since they're going to be only 6 to 8 episodes long, they need to treat these shows as movies that are just broken up over a couple weeks.
But what I don't want to see them do, I don't want to see them do a fucking Mandalorian and have recaps at the beginning and have bullshit filler episodes and only be 30 minutes long. You're cheating your audience.
Way too short.
You're cheating your audience. Mandalorian 2 needs to, I know everyone was just fawning over Mandalorian, but for me, it had a lot of flaws in it. And 2 of the flaws were the recaps and the runtime. And I don't want to see the MCU films go, because Disney need to understand this is a streaming service. People are going to binge watch. They don't need a recap. They're going to wait for everything to end. Then they're going to sign up. Then they're going to binge watch. And they need to dump these episodes all in one, not fucking episodic. But like they do on Netflix and that.
And I agree with you on that fact.
They'll never do that though, because they want people to pay for the subscription. If you binge it all,
they need weekly, because there's still not enough content there, because their subscriptions has dropped off massively after the Mandalorian kind of ended. And the other thing as well, like, while we're here quickly, they've cancelled a lot of stuff because obviously Kevin Feige and Jeff Loeb just fucking hate each other, and Perlmutter and Feige hate each other, and all of this. So as soon as Feige got kind of put in charge of everything at Marvel, he cancelled some stuff that I was kind of looking forward to, just like Dazzler and Cheetah, and I think it was like MODOK cartoons and all of this, which was going to lead to like the some weird villain team and things like that.
The Offenders.
That one. And that. And that kind of pissed me off, because I was kind of interested to see what they do with that. It was the kind of first time I thought, this is something nice and different. And now they've cancelled it. And I don't know what kind of vanilla shit they're going to put in their place. So, I just wanted to remind people that of all the stuff that they've also cancelled due to pettiness.
Sorry, I keep wanting to end this, but more things pop in my head. Spider-Man 3, will we see Matt Murdock? Who's going to be the villain? And
actually, Charlie Cox just came out and said that he won't be in Spider-Man 3. Now, he said that. That doesn't mean it's true, because they haven't started filming yet. But
they like to do the old switcheroo.
Yeah,
Disney. So you never know.
Who are they kidding? We'll find out. Like, I don't know why they.
But you think Daredevil will be introduced in Spider-Man 3? Because I think that's a great way to introduce him, making Matt Murdock be his lawyer.
Now, the more important question is, are they rebooting Daredevil with Charlie Cox, or are they continuing Daredevil? Like from the Netflix series.
I think
we might not even get any of them. We might not even get Wilson Fisk. We might not get fuck all.
No, Wilson Fisk is a joke.
Because again, we have the threat of over bloating with too many characters, too many series, and they can't relegate Daredevil back down to like a PG-13 or some shit like that.
No way.
They just can't.
And here's the thing. That's kind of why I only want Matt Murdock in Spider. If they did Spider-Man, or if they did Charlie Cox in Spider-Man 3, I only want Matt Murdock. I don't want it to become this big team up movie where it would be cool, but I feel like it would be doing a disservice to the original Daredevil from Netflix.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I would probably be marking out for it while it's happening, but then like afterward, I would probably. It's kind of like the whole in Endgame where all the females are lined up and they're getting ready to charge. It was cool right then, but then it's like, that was just so forced. Like, there was no lube and a cactus involved. Like,
that's exactly what it felt like.
Yeah, and it's like that's not what I want for that. I mean, Daredevil needs to be introduced, but just treated with respect and care for the original character, or they need to recast and just this is the brand new Daredevil, which I don't want, but that's what they need to do.
Yeah, I think they'd have a hard time with that.
These are characters that
Charlie Cox.
These are characters that matter, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like Daredevil, Wilson Fisk, Kingpin. I mean, people want to see these guys. These are recognizable comic book characters. And if they are going to personally, I wouldn't mind a different Kingpin, because my problem with the Kingpin in Daredevil, I didn't think he was actually strong enough at times. I mean, there was times where he looked really strong, and there was other times where I thought to myself, come on, you should be able to pull that fucking chain off, no fucking problem. The Kingpin I've seen in fucking Spider-Man is superhuman fucking strong. And it wasn't enough of that
what makes
from
him
Wilson
unbelievable
Fisk.
in some aspects. You know,
Yeah,
like I don't.
We're talking comic books here. In a fantasy world. So like he's a cut above, which is why he's the fucking Kingpin, because the guy is his own bodyguard. You know what I mean?
They could easily fix that. They could easily fix that through lab stuff in Spider-Man 3. They could easily fix that where it becomes a more massive strength and things like that. Obviously with the Netflix series, they tried to ground as much as they could in reality, and that's why Fisk was like nothing special in that sense. But so you can always fix that.
Who do you think will make a good Wilson Fisk as an actor? Who else? I'm actually looking at wrestlers.
I mean, I don't really want anyone else.
I don't want anyone else either. I mean, I think the character Vincent D'Onofrio or whatever his name is, I think he did a good job.
Yeah,
fair enough. But he just fair enough. I just want to see more of that, because this guy needs to be running New York, and I want to see that. I want to see, what's his name? The fucking Green Goblin. What's his real
Norman
name?
Osborn.
Norman Osborn. The same. I want to see more of this shit. Before they become these alter egos. I want to see them, in this world.
Like, you don't have to have them. Like for Norman Osborn, it doesn't have to be in there as the Green Goblin.
Yeah, exactly.
Go there later. It doesn't have to be there right away.
It's coming at one point, but not today.
Well, will it come up? Because this is Spider-Man's only going to be in this film. That's it. We might not get it.
Well, Sony did say that they were basically going to sign as many arrangements as they need to with Marvel. So, I mean, obviously there'll be renegotiations every couple movies. Okay. But yeah, they said that he's on right now for another MCU and another Avengers movie. And then probably after that, they'll go back to the negotiating table. They'll say Spider-Man's leaving the MCU. They'll him-haw about it back and forth for a while, and then they'll come. It's just it's contract negotiation ploys between.
It's going to be tough politics and
they put themselves in this position.
Sony not to have Spider-Man in the MCU.
Yeah,
but they put themselves in this position. They put themselves, they kind of bend themselves over for Sony, because they've made fucking Spider-Man Iron Man's successor to a degree. It was definitely like that in Far From Home.
Oh, so, I agree. I don't agree with what they're doing with Spider-Man regarding Iron Man and Tony Stark. I think they really were heavy-handed with that, and
no, they shouldn't have done
they've gone that direction anyway. So they've kind of put themselves in a situation, so to speak.
Yeah. No, and I said in the very beginning, I said when they started really putting Peter Parker Spider-Man as like the successor to Tony Stark, and Spider-Man is like one of the leaders of the Avengers, I'm like, you're really boxing yourself in that corner like really bad. Because if this goes south, this is going to backfire on the MCU.
Well, this is it. If they lose that character, I mean, you can't. Like in the end, it could end up just with Sony being bought by Disney, because they're such a shit studio anyway.
Well,
which I don't fucking want that. You buy Spider-Man, but don't fucking.
I would much prefer if they just bought Spider-Man. But then what does Sony have if they don't have Spider-Man? They'd never sell it.
It'll be more than just Spider-Man. It'll be all the characters that associate with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So there's villains and heroes and allies and great characters, all of them. So it'll be interesting to see where they go with that.
Well, look, as long as they negotiate whatever bullshit they negotiate, and we carry on getting Tom Holland Spider-Man, fine. You know, I don't care what the money deal is with them. They're both fucking stupid rich bastard studios anyway. So let them do whatever they want to. They do. Just don't screw the fans over in the end. You know.
I'm actually a big fan of the Iron Man Junior with Spider-Man, by the way, because this is just a different way of seeing it. It's all immersed in the MCU. They all know each other. They're all friends with each other. Spider-Man, Peter Parker is a whiz kid. You know, he's a bit of a boy genius, pretty much. You know, it all makes fucking sense. You know, I like it. I really do. You know, it adds a bit of class. They're all family. They're all friends. They all know each other, and this is just a really cool way of doing it. I'm all on board, but once again, you know, Marvel have put themselves in the position because Sony fucking owns it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I think that's it. Anything else anyone want to cover?
I'm fucking
Hold on.
starving.
Hold on. Oh, my phone. Black Panther 2. What other movies are there in there? I talked about Ant-Man, Fantastic Four, X-Men. No, I think that's probably it. Batman.
Yeah,
Did we talk about Batman in Phase 5?
Batman could be in Phase 5, yeah. I mean, on a flip side, like AT&T are losing money with Warner Brothers. It doesn't make them profit anymore. So they could sell it. And if I'm Disney, I am fucking buying Warner Brothers. Because then you've just literally that's it. You will be
monopolized everything.
You will monopolize everything. And you can have Justice League and Avengers. That's it.
Shang-Chi.
I mean, that's
Shang-Chi.
Four, so we kind of not really talking about Shang-Chi.
Just 10 rings. I hope it'll become the new fucking Infinity Stones.
It's such a cheap cash in for the Asian market that I don't really want to give it any fucking spotlight.
I do. I mean, it interests me enough because of the 10 rings. Because I mean, I am an avid hater of I almost said Final Fantasy. What the hell? Of Iron Man 3. Like Iron Man 3 was an abysmal joke of a movie that I absolutely despised beyond my eternal belief. So I just hope they do justice because I was so excited for that Mandarin. And as I said, I didn't think he would have magical 10 rings, but all the promotional material just made the Mandarin seem so badass.
That's where they should have stabbed Shane Black and said, "You're never making another film again."
Because well, how do we know?
Iron Man 3, but that switch was unacceptable. It was unacceptable because Ben Kingsley was fantastic. It was a good way to kind of avoid, you know, the racial profiling of Mandarin having to be Asian or whatever bullshit, cowardly shit that they too scared to fucking go down and that. But he was great.
Oh yeah.
That was just, you can't retcon it after by having some short on the internet where he shows up, whatever, fuck off.
As long as he's not dead, because I still like Trevor. I still like Trevor.
Trevor.
Sorry?
He was a funny character, but just, you know, being tied to the Mandarin.
Zam, you are Trevor. I mean, come on.
Thank you.
Just unacceptable. So that was a big.
I want to see.
I like.
By the way,
that was.
That's one character I want to see come back as well, Jis. I want to see Trevor in fucking Shang-Chi. He has to be in it.
He's not going to be in it.
He has. He's the only one who makes sense to be in it.
Why?
Yeah, because of him being the fake Mandarin.
He's dead.
And the real Mandarin. No. They never said they killed him off. They never said that.
Well, they said they wanted to reserve that pleasure for the real Mandarin. So what's going to happen is the movie's going to open.
He showed up in that little short they did online.
No, they never said they never killed him off.
Oh, okay.
But what's going to happen is so it's going to go. There's going to be a big tower, and then they're going to zoom in really quick, and then it's going to be the real Mandarin. He's going to have Trevor by the back of the head, and then he's going to snap his neck right there, and then Sonya Blaze is going to show up, and she's going to be like, "No!" And then Shang-Chi's going to be like, "No!"
And everyone's going to be like, "We love you long time," and they're just going to have sex.
Isn't that how Mortal Kombat Annihilation started? With
Captain Marvel. Just to remind you, we're talking about Phase 5, not Phase 4. And I want to end this stream now. So,
all right, fair enough.
Phase 4.
Nice talking to you guys.
couple of months back. But anyway, thank you all for joining. Captain Marvelous, thank you for joining us in the comment sections. We always appreciate people taking part. And join us next time when we discuss Phase 20 of this never-ending saga.
Bye.